Yasodhanandana Brother Janarajana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Ramadava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnu Paramahansa Rajakacharya Asana Sees with AC Bhaktivinoda Samsara Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Paramsagaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopida Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Gang Shamona Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Go Premanandi all glories to Sam of the devotees. All glories to Sam of the devotees. All glories to Sam of the devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswata Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatadane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, Verse 27. Shravanam Kirtanam Jnanam Haler Adbhuta Karmanam Janma Karma Gunanam Cha Tat Arte Kila Chestatam. Shravanam, hearing, Kirtanam, chanting, Jnanam, meditation, Hare, of the Supreme Lord, Adbhuta Karmana, whose activities are wonderful, Janma, of his incarnations, Karma, pastimes, Gunanam, transcendental qualities, Cha, and Tad Arte, for his sake, Akila, all Chestitam endeavors. Translation: one should hear, glorify, and meditate upon the wonderful transcendental activities of the Lord. One should specifically become absorbed in the appearance, activities, qualities, and holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus inspired, one should perform all one's daily activities as an offering to the Lord. One should perform sacrifice, charity, and penance exclusively for the Lord's satisfaction. Similarly, one should chant only those mantras which glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all one's religious activity should be performed as an offering to the Lord. Whatever one finds pleasing or enjoyable, he should immediately offer to the Supreme Lord. And even his wife, children, and home and very life air he should offer at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has ordered yet karosi, yet asnasi, yet jahosi, dadasi, yet tapasyasi konte, yet tat kurushva arpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, and all austerities that you perform should be done as an offering unto me. Srila Prabhupada has commented on this verse as follows: thus, it is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for maintenance of his body and soul together, and Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. Everyone has to eat something to live, therefore he should accept the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna. Any civilized man has to perform some religious ritualistic ceremonies, therefore Krishna recommends do it for me, and this is called archanam. Everyone has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna says, give it to me. And this means that all surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering the Krishna consciousness movement. Nowadays, people are very much inclined to the meditational process, which is not practical in this age. But if anyone practices meditating on Krishna 24 hours by chanting Hare Krishna mantra around his beads, he is surely the greatest yogi, as substantiated by the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Many persons who become attracted to the devotional service of Krishna are bewildered by the material possessions, reputation, or skills they have accumulated by their previous material activities. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, these two verses indicate that all such material opulences are accumulated by one's previous that all such material opulences accumulated by one's previous karma should be used as an offering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One's fame, education, wealth, and so on should all be used to carry out the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes envious materialists ask why one should waste one's wealth and education in the Lord's service when such things could be better used to gratify the temporary material body. Actually, however, whatever we possess, including this body, is ultimately the property of the Supreme Lord, who is the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of all existence. Therefore, one should be blessed by dovetailing one's so-called opulences in the devotional service of the Lord. Otherwise, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Mrityu Sarvaharas Chaham, the Supreme Lord will appear before us at the time of death as Mrityu, death personified, and violently take away all our possessions. Therefore, such possessions should be peacefully offered to the lotus feet of the Lord while we are still living and able to enjoy the pious result of such an offering. According to Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, tapa, austerity, means that one should observe vows such as Ekadasi, Vrata, in which one fasts from grains and beans twice a month. The word japtam refers to chanting holy names of the Lord, such as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur has further pointed out that one can offer one's wife, children, and home to the Lord by converting one's family into devotees of the Supreme Lord, rather than becoming artificially puffed up in the pursuit of so-called status symbols. One's family should be trained to understand that they are eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. And when the entire family becomes dedicated to the Lord's service, a very beautiful situation is created. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that if a human being is not initiated into the process of Bhagavata Dharma, he must depend upon the uncertain knowledge derived from his gross material senses. indifferent to the sublime descriptions of the Lord's eternal appearances, pastimes, and innumerable transcendental qualities, the faithless materialist wanders about on the platform of mundane enjoyment. But if one can understand that the reality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as He is described in authorized Vedic literatures, then one should accept the order of Tridandi Sannyas, or at least one should practice restraint of the body, mind, and words, and thus become self-controlled and fixed in the absolute truth. Then all one's desires, all charity he gives, and his penances and chanting of mantras, in other words, his entire personality, his home, his children, his wife, and his very life air, become heartfelt offerings to the Supreme Lord. When a living entity constantly hears the authorized descriptions of the Supreme Lord and dovetails all of his activities in the Lord's service, avoiding other activities, he is considered to be fixed on the platform of Bhagavata Dharma. Translation: one should hear, glorify, and meditate upon the wonderful transcendental activities of the Lord. One should specifically become absorbed in the appearance, activities, qualities, and holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus inspired, one should perform all one's daily activities as an offering to the Lord. One should perform sacrifice, charity, and penance exclusively for the Lord's satisfaction. Similarly, one should chant only those mantras which glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all one's religious activities should be performed as an offering to the Lord. Whatever one finds pleasing or enjoyable, he should immediately offer to the Supreme Lord, and even his wife, children, home, and very life air he should offer at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here we have a very nice summary of the activities of devotional service. So the first ones are actually Sravanam, Kirtanam, Dhyanam, etc. This is, what can I say, direct devotional service. And so we see there's 64 angas of bhakti, and among them the chief ones were Sravanam, Kirtanam, Sadhu Sangha, Archanam, and living in the holy Dham. So these are called the Mukhya Vidhis, or the Mukhya Angas of bhakti. So the distinction is that their very purpose is for glorifying the Lord, for pleasing the Lord. So Sravanam is there to hear about the Lord so we can understand and appreciate Him. Kirtan is there to praise the Lord. And of course we do Archana to offer things to the Lord. So these are our direct activities of bhakti, which nourish bhakti. And we have a bhakti seed, and these activities will help the bhakti lata grow. So they are direct activities of bhakti. Of course, we have 64 angas mentioned there in Nectar of Devotion. So these are the primary angas of bhakti. But sometimes we don't do bhakti. We have to work, for instance. We have to sleep. We have to eat. We have to drink. We have to carry on relationships with family members and with society, which is not hearing, chanting, remembering, obviously. So what do we do with those activities? So here is the solution given here. You can offer them to the Supreme Lord. Now, some of these activities are governed by Varnashrama. So these are what we call karma yoga activities. So it mentions here performing sacrifice, charities, and penances, which are normally part of Varnashram system. Some, however, we can take in a primary way, so we can say the penance is Ekadasi. So that's one of the angas of bhakti. Charity, of course, we can feed devotees. So then it becomes Vaishnav Seva. That's the anga of bhakti also. Sacrifices or homas. I think the only sacrifices we have would be devotional sacrifices in which directly the Lord is praised or whatever, but normally not done as part of bhakti. And then we have other activities everything else should be done as an offering to the Supreme Lord. So therefore it mentions offer the wife, the children, the home, and life heir to the Supreme Lord. So we have all sorts of activities that maybe not be governed by rules of Varnashrama, whatever. Even these we offer to the Supreme Lord, if they are permittable to offer. So similarly in Bhagavad Gita we have this yat kurosi yat asnasi, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, whatever austerities you perform, do it as an offering to me. So these are taking activities which are not direct bhakti, and then modifying them so that they also are non-objectionable and they are somewhat beneficial for advancing in devotional service. And so we offer them to the Supreme Lord. Technically this is called arope siddha bhakti. We take activities which aren't bhakti and we modify them so that they become conducive for bhakti. Of course, their previous nature was not bhakti, but they've been converted by offering to the Supreme Lord. So then there's no objection to that. One can perform these activities or whatever. So in this way, all the activities of life can be made favorable for devotional service. So we have two categories of activities: the angas of bhakti, and then we have all the other activities we may do, which we try to offer to the Supreme Lord somehow or other, whether they're varnashramic or not. And in this way, one can advance nicely in devotional service. So this is a way in which we can engage our senses and our body in the service of the Lord. The definition of sadhana bhakti was to engage the senses and the mind in serving the Lord. So then we do it through the direct processes like hearing and chanting. But then we have to take care of the body, etc. So even these activities, somehow we modify them so that they are favorable for devotional service. So we offer everything to the Supreme Lord. In this way, then one can advance very nicely. In the commentary, I think Vishwanath's commentary of Yat Kurosi Rasana, it's more like karma misra bhakti. The activities here, whatever you do in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, okay. Yeah? But it's not objectionable if there is no material desire attached to those activities. So therefore it is said one can do karmas, one can do jnana, or one could do yoga, as long as we don't have other desires than to serve the Lord and to please the Lord. So of course the desire of karmas would be material benefits. Desire with jnana would be liberation, or yoga would be siddhis and liberation. So if we have those desires mixed in, then it's not good. That mixed bhakti is rejectable. If we're doing those activities along with bhakti, in that sense mixed bhakti, but no desires, then there's no problem. If the activities are modified so there's no objectionable elements like worship of devatas, etc. in them, then there's no problem in doing them. If we modify them, and we can actually make them favorable by making them as offering to the Supreme Lord. So then no problem in them. So in this way, the activities can be modified. Nevertheless, we see there's two types of activities. There's the direct bhakti activities, or the mukhya vidya, and we have the other ones, which is their guna or whatever, secondary activities. So this distinction is made to show the independence of bhakti from anything else, and therefore the mukhya activities are the main activity we do. Everything else is secondary to that. So we do everything else. We don't do the main activity, it's useless. And we do the main activity and we don't do anything else, it's okay. So bhakti is independent of other activities. It doesn't depend on karma, jnana, yoga, or anything. So that's why they're called the mukhya vidhis, and they directly produce bhakti. So these other activities, of course, we need because we have a material body and we live in the material world, so we have to support our material body. We have to bathe. We have to do so many things. So we have Varnashramic rules for that. So we follow those rules. And at the same time, offer to the Supreme Lord. So therefore, there in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there's the vidi for bathing. So you bathe, but then you should meditate on the water falling down over your head as coming from the foot of Vishnu, falling down and purifying your body. So, and this way you're purifying your body with the water, the Charnamrita of Vishnu or whatever like that. So that way the bath becomes like purified or sacred. It's not just water anymore, it's sacred water. So there's many things like that can be adapted for the Vaishnava in terms of daily activities. Still, we understand that the mukhya are the main activities which help us develop our bhakti. Certainly we can say, well, I'll just bathe every day and meditate on Vishnu when I bathe. Okay, fine. But the main activities are hearing, chanting, remembering. Those are the main ones we follow. So this is how we advance in devotional service, by taking shelter of the main activities. And the other ones we do, but we make them favorable to devotional service. So in this way, we do not reject the body and the senses and whatever. We also understand we do have to support our body and our senses, etc., in this material world, in order that we also perform bhakti. So therefore we have to do these activities anyways, but we do them in such a way that they're non-objectionable. So even if we do the activities of karma yoga, we do it without a desire for material benefits. The other reason for doing them, of course, is that we do it without attachment, without a material attachment, but we do it to set an example for others. So that's another reason. Of course, because we do have a material body, then the body should be regulated also. So the rules of Varnashrama also give us some regulation. So, for instance, we have the four regulated principles. So let's take it from Varnashrama. Some regulation of senses is necessary to advance in devotional service. So we take four regulated principles as a simple breakdown of all those rules of don't do this, don't do that. So to regulate our material body, then the activities may be favorable. So therefore we call them gona vidi, secondary rules, whereas the other are the mukhya vidi, that is the bhakti rules. But because we do have to support the material body, and we do have to control the senses, etc., then the gona vidis also help to some degree. Ultimately, of course, Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar Devotion that everything is accomplished by bhakti. So technically we don't need anything else. It's independent. Whatever you achieve by karma, jnana, or yoga, you can achieve by bhakti. So you don't have to take shelter of another process. So it's not that you have to do those activities, but it may be convenient to follow activities of Varnashrama for us, to regulate our activities, our social interactions, etc. So we can follow for that reason. Nevertheless, bhakti accomplishes everything not by itself. So we shouldn't have the idea that we have to do these, otherwise we fail in our bhakti. Then that becomes offensive to bhakti, because bhakti is independent. Therefore, we do have to have a proper perspective when we perform the activities of the Varnashrama system, and see the proper relationship with the mukhya vidi of bhakti. So we put the emphasis on the devotional activities. And therefore, in Nectar Devotion, Rupa Goswami says that Varnashrama is not an anga of bhakti. We can't really equate it with bhakti itself. It supports bhakti, and we call it gona vidi or secondary vidi, but it's not like, intrinsically, it's not the same as bhakti, hearing, chanting, remembering, deity worship, etc. the activities that are done in these other processes, it's all accomplished by bhakti itself. Whatever purpose those activities of Varnashram have, it's also accomplished by bhakti itself. So we can say, well, why I have to never do two things? Why not just do one process? So that, okay, that's a good logic. One could follow that logic also. But anyway, Rupa Goswami points out that this Varnashrama is not an anga of bhakti as such. It's not a mukhya vidhi. And he says that even we call it cultivating good qualities, etc. It's not an anga of bhakti. Now we think, oh, we have to have nice qualities to be a devotee. But he says cultivating good qualities is not an anga of bhakti. Why? Because good qualities are a result of bhakti. So when one performs bhakti, then one should have all wonderful qualities. Of course, these are not material qualities. Cultivating good qualities in the material world is cultivating good material qualities, or we can say sattvic qualities. But bhakti is not dependent on sattva gun. So therefore, simply cultivating good qualities is not an anga of bhakti itself. To show that bhakti produces everything. Nevertheless, we can say, well, it is, controlling the senses, etc. Is there? Yes. So anything favorable for bhakti, we do. So we control the senses, control the mind, sama, dhamma, all the tapa, etc. Yeah, we can follow all those things as well. As secondary things only. But we concentrate again on the primary angas or the mukhya angas, mukhya vidhis.
Keep performing bhakti out of fear. Oh, if I don't chant, I will not progress. If he keeps continuing this until the end of this life, without, he's just having the fear. Do this, I'll be doing this, I'll be doing this.
Well, we can say maybe that's related to Vaidhi Bhakti to some degree. But again, the whole emphasis on Bhakti is not fear. It means affection. So Bhakti Yoga means establishing a loving relationship with the Lord. If it's all based on fear, then it's not love. So we say the basis of that type of activity is not proper. We say the faith is not developed properly. The real faith is faith in the process of bhakti as described in the bhakti scriptures. So if we're just doing it out of fear, we've got the wrong faith, it looks like. Maybe it's negative faith. I'll do it because I'll go to hell if I don't do it, which is quite maybe similar to some of the Christians. They also have that idea. So, but we don't take the negative aspect that surrender to Krishna because he'll throw you in hell if you don't do it properly. The idea is to go to prema, prayojana is prema, not the counter hell or whatever like that. Of course, we say if you don't practice bhakti, stay in the material world, and it's equivalent to hell. But anyway, that we emphasize the positive aspect.
See in Gita, Krishna says, if you don't surrender to me, I'll not remove your sin, sarvadharma. So it looks like some places in the Shastras, if you do this, Christianity says, if you don't do this, you'll go to hell.
Well, he's not making that as the condition that only if you surrender unto me you get rid of your sins or whatever. He's just giving that as an all-inclusive injunction. If you do bhakti, then all problems are solved.
Instead of fear, sometimes it is guilt which helps us to do that. Because we are not following that. Makes us guilty.
Yeah, whether say fear or guilt or whatever, all of these are material motives. So yes, you can do bhakti for material motives or whatever, but the real idea of bhakti is we're doing it to cultivate devotion. So that it's a completely different type of motivation.
If those items are practiced with a desire for some sense gratification, then it is karma mishra bhakti.
Yeah.
So if there is no desire for sense gratification, does it become bhakti?
Well, in a sense, it's arop siddha bhakti. We've modified the activity. We offer it to the Lord, so then technically we don't have a material desire for ourselves. We say, okay, we'll do it, and the results go, please the Lord, finished. So then it's like Nishkama Karma Yoga with an offering to the Lord. So then it's passable, it's permissible. So because it's related to the Lord, it's a little bit above Nishkama Karma Yoga, Karma Arpana. So it's a little progress upward. That's Arupsita Bhakti. So it's a type of bhakti, but it's not Sarupsita Bhakti like hearing, chanting, remembering the primary angas, Mukhya Vidhi. Less powerful.
So we see in devotees' life, Maharaj, one side definitely direct devotional acts are being done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in regular life, like to maintain the body, one has to eat, and then one would prefer things that one likes. So there is definitely, before the item is offered to Lord, there is some amount of thought process that this is what I like, this is what I'll cook, I'll offer to Krishna and take prasadam. So is it Karma Mishra Bhakti then?
Not exactly karma misra bhakti. Of course, it depends on what we mean by karma misra. One definition of karma misra is the activities of karma yoga itself. The other would be simply the motive, that is material motive behind it. So if in that case, it is not such that the whole idea is we're offering to Krishna so that we also get some enjoyment. We can say maybe some impurity in our execution of devotional service, that's all. But it's not that our motive is to get some material result back from Krishna, which is what karma yoga does, and like karma misra bhakti does, that we're offering something to Krishna so we get some material result and enjoyment for ourselves. So that's probably not the intention. It's just that there's some impurity in the offering or the execution. That's all.
Because many times when we are discussing menus, we are discussing menus for festivals.
Oh,
and,
okay, yeah.
So there is this discussion. No, this is better and that is better. And usually personal preferences are there in that.
Yeah. Well, of course, in terms of that, then we have to see what is within the budget, what is easier to cook for masses or whatever, how many people or whatever. So that's just a practical thing. And of course, we're offering it all to Krishna anyway, so no problem. But there's practical aspects of prasad distribution. Oh yeah. So if one is making a menu to please the devotees, nothing wrong with that, because it's service to the devotees also. It's offered to Krishna and then it goes to the devotees.
In the Bhagavatam, there's a Falasuti. If you don't do this, it looks like as if it is like, in the beginning it is materialistic.
Well,
Actually, we have to do
some of
without
the
being asked.
Falasuti is like that. In the Bhagavatam, it says, you hear the story of Govardhan, you get free of snake bites or something like that. So obviously, it's a material. And in Nectar Devotion also, there's many quotations, and it gives a material result. So then Rupa Goswami says, yes, some of these quotes from the Puranas glorify material results for the activity or whatever like that, encourage you. So that's to encourage people of lower mentality. That's not the understanding of the devotee. All the activities are for simply pleasing the Lord. So scripture will give these type of glorifications for attracting people. Like we have the whole Akadasi Mahatmya, which is based, maybe say, attracting people for material reasons. You know, they get a kingdom or they get a son or this and that by fasting on Akadasi. So it's there, but it can happen. But it's obviously a lower level. It's very mixed bhakti.
Today is the Varaha Dwadasi. We find that most of the pastimes, the Lord has to use his own wife to make stuff like Ramchandra. Sita was kidnapped. And here Varaha, Mother Earth, was kidnapped by Hiranyaksha. Is there any particular reason that why he uses his own consort in the pastimes?
Well, of course, we can say in one sense it shows the attachment of the Lord to his Shakti, that he's eternally related to his Shakti, therefore he will do anything to save or protect his Shakti. So it's not all stories are like that. Prahlad story, there's nothing there, whatever like that. Other stories where we have Dhruva's story, no? What else? So some are there, some are different. So it's not inevitable, in other words, but sometimes it's there to show the relationship of the Lord to his Shakti.
Sometimes he uses females to suffer, like Draupadi was suffering and Kunti was suffering, and uses them to teach a lesson to others.
Well, on the one hand, we have, of course, a prominence of male characters, even avatars. Of course, we do have one female avatar, the Mohini avatar. So there is some female there. But most of the stories are all, more or less male-dominated stories. All the great devotees usually we see. But then we see that is balanced by. So we do have Kunti Devi or Devahuti, great Vaishnavis, etc. So it's also there to a lesser degree. But we do find some stories like that to show that bhakti itself is universal and it applies to everyone, not only men but women also. So therefore, they also are considered very great devotees.
Surprising finding that some British Shastra, the women are put down like Shriyo, Vaishya, Sudra, where the last cosmic manifestation management, he has more major portfolios like education and power, education Saraswati, power Durga, and finance Lakshmi. He uses them to give the top position. But in other places they put down like anything. Women should not manage. In the Vedic scriptures, the women are not allowed to come up. But the Lord, he's using his own energies to have the powerful positions.
Well, the women is put in a dependent position, so therefore there's certain things they don't do. They don't become kings, they don't become managers, in most cases. But we do have exceptional cases. I think in India there are a few women warriors, yeah? Which one? She was fighting.
Kittu Rani, Jhansi Ki Rani.
Maybe a few. They almost like kings, some of them, in some cases. So we have exceptional cases there also. We find in the Vedas generally it's men, but then we have Gargi Acharya mentioned in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. She was a woman, and she was a great, Brahman realized woman, and she was asking questions to Yajnavalkya or whatever like that. So she was, very advanced. So she was familiar, and she must have studied the Vedas. Although normally the women don't study the Vedas, she studied the Vedas or whatever, somehow she studied. So we have examples like that in the Vedas themselves, let us speak of later society.
The reason the army wanted to induct women as in commanding position. So in the army of India, they want to give women in a commanding position. The government of India told the Supreme Court has directed.
They should do, okay.
And the government of India said no. Women comes in commanding position, that will create a lot of problems in family
for the men
affairs.
underneath.
And the men will not work under a woman.
I don't know what happened in America. Do they have women generals?
Also in
Yeah, in America? They're in the army, but I don't know.
senior positions.
How far they get up? Sergeant?
Doctor,
Sergeant?
infantry.
Huh?
They don't lead. A woman leading the entire
Okay,
forces.
I don't know. So, maybe difficult for the women to command the men. They won't get the respect and they won't follow the woman, probably.
In the house they can command.
Psychologically, so there are some differences, obviously. So, very different, especially in fighting, which is, we can say, dominantly men are there anyway. So, it'd be very difficult for the men, probably. So that's why they don't do it.
The women's organization in India are criticizing government of India. No, we should also be given equal steps. We also want to enter in the commanding position.
In the commanding
Commanding
position.
position.
Well, that's so, but at the same time, there's limitations in terms of body, psychology, etc., which have to be admitted also, I think, There are some limitations. There may be exceptional cases, as I said, like we had a few women fighting in battle or whatever like that, so it may be possible, but a very exceptional case.
Yeah, what are some pilots, astronauts?
Yeah. So there, but, we say exceptional cases.
What are while explaining those devotees for prasad? So we think of preparing especially what they likes like that. What should be our consciousness while cooking?
Well, ultimately, we're offering to Krishna, so it's not only the devotees; it's Krishna first, and then Krishna is satisfied, and of course the devotees also. So Krishna first, then the devotees.
Sometimes when a donor gives donation, he is particular that do this.
Yeah.
He likes Puri or Pani Sabji. He's dictating the temple administration, do this.
Yeah.
But we don't know, we have certain things. Sometimes,
Well, to some degree we can do, but obviously we do have our own rules and regulations to follow also, so we combine them. That's so.
Terus terang Sri Srimad Bhagavatam ki.